Computer. Wonderful. Here we go. Good afternoon. Now, this could be interesting. So, good afternoon. Welcome. So, it's me talking to Gareth Wax. Now, this is the frequently asked questions about our members, where I ask the members to send me a list of those questions that they are frequently asked. We all have those questions that we are always asked. Okay. So, I thought, why don't I get a list? I can ask the member, they can answer her, we get to know the member. But Gareth is not like anybody else, okay? You'll soon know Gareth is very special, okay? So I've had nothing back from Gareth at all. So who knows what we're going to talk about? I met Gareth at Omni Networking, okay? You can tell he's a colourful young man. You can tell that immediately, okay, from his general demeanour. But Gareth, tell us about your networking journey and how we met and what's going on with you in networking.
Well, thank you very much for having me on here, first of all, Nick. It's an absolute pleasure to be part of the Zoco Massive. What I would say is that my networking journey started off, I think, 9 years ago, which is when I really started pushing forward as being an entrepreneur. Before then, my background has always been involved with IT and being an Uber geek, as my daughter refers to me. And I was very much involved as a Cisco engineer with helping businesses streamline the way in which they communicate. Sitting in the background, wearing a duffel coat with a laptop inside a computer room, never seeing a human. And where it all changed was, I would say, really 9-10 years ago, when I thought I'd had enough of working for other people. I'd gone through IT connectivity. I'd come out the other side. I'd become a salesperson. I've been qualified as a sales trainer. I worked going around the world teaching other companies how to best sell themselves. And I thought, do you know what? I've had enough of this. And I found a company that was in dire straits, and I bought them, revamped them, and that was my first company. And that company is called Trust Us to Call, or Trust Us to Call. And it's a telemarketing agency. It does what it says on the tin. 8 people, and we represent companies who are trying to promote themselves more effectively. And that only works if they have a target audience. Back then, I thought the best way was by networking of some sort. And I knew there were these groups going on in London. And I joined a couple of them. Through that, I came involved in that one, which you can easily identify by 3 letters, BNI. I was with BNI for 3 years in 3 different chapters, and I did okay, but I found it too draconian. I found it too constraining, and I wanted to better spread my wings, and I wanted to do things in my own way a little bit. As most people who have ever come across me know, that I don't like rules, or at least I like to take a rule and bend it to use it in different ways. I try and look at things from a different angle, if you like. So I joined a number of other smaller ones, one of which, of course, was Omni Networking, which is where we first met. And that was slightly more relaxed, slightly less rules, still a little bit formalized, but it's still much more relaxed, and there was less onerous. And finally, through that, I met your excellent self, Nick, and more recently, you invited me to become part of the Omni family. Sorry, oh goodness, no, the Zuko family. Zuko for all. Hashtag Zoco networking. Hashtag, there you go. That's been absolutely wonderful. I found it enlightening and celebratory, and it makes it feel like you're celebrating not just working for yourself, but looking after others as well. It feels like I can give something back. So that's how I got to where I am now. As you say, checkered.
Yeah, well, that's fascinating. I mean, obviously, so it's interesting that all the businesses I've known you, the technology plays an important part in all of them. Okay. I mean, you mentioned that's your telemarketing, telesales.
Telemarketing, telesales,
yeah,
correct, right.
It's the first business I knew you from. And I mean, you mentioned how you like. So how do you fill your day? What are your main business areas in at the moment?
Well, people should understand one fundamental thing about me. I work to celebrate my absolute addiction, my habit, which is music. So I'm a musician, and I work to pay for my fix for music. So therefore, I'm like a drug addict. I need to do more music all the time, as much as I can. And so I work, but I can only work at things that inspire me. So I like dealing with people and people who like dealing with other people. So I primarily want to work with businesses and people who run businesses and help them talk to other people, either in business or out there in the wide world, more effectively. So I've created something called Purple Brands. So my wife's favorite color is purple. I like purple as well. I think you have to if your wife's constantly wearing it. In fact, she has purple hair. And so the focus to me is a whole bunch of brands intermingle that work together. So the fundament of it all was trust us too cool. So that's obviously a brand that's focused on, you've got a focused data set. You want to talk to this focused data set with a focused message, and you want to get people enthralled or businesses enthralled about how one business can help another. So that's the first one. Then I've got Purple Fedora, hence the silly hat. And which is a purple fedora, just in case you didn't know. That's all about being more effective on LinkedIn without, and this is fundamental, without using AI. No software involved except for LinkedIn itself. So I have a small team of researchers, a very small team of posters, a copywriter, and me, and a self-styled LinkedIn obsessive. So what I do is I've looked out over the last 3 years of operation, 2.5 years now, of operation, about all the tips and tricks that can make your LinkedIn go from zero to hero, and I help people apply it. And as people may tell you, I like to pay it forward. So I always like to give out tips and tricks. I always like to give out lots of wonderful tips. In fact, what I'm going to do is, while we're here, I've got a little ticker which I'm going to put across the bottom of my screen. There it is. And if anybody wants 21 free tips, all they've got to do is hit me up on LinkedIn, and I'll send them straight across without further ado. And if they find that useful, they can then spend half an hour more with me, and I'll help them reform their profile so it's more effective. And if that is striking a chord, then maybe we can talk about how Purple Fedora can help represent them online without using AI and with great effect to increase the way in which they interact with people and businesses. So that's the second of the so-called purple brands. I've got more recently, we've got Purple Lounge, which was a music venue online, which every Friday was presenting all different kind of groups and musicians. And that was going wonderfully well until some idiot allowed the world to go out and drink again. Unbelievable. Anyway, so of course that became less popular. And then I started creating another brand called Purple Lounge Live. And what we do is I've taken the very best of those musicians and groups and presented them live at various different venues. So far, there have only been 2 or 3 different venues. My business partner is a lady called Jennifer Thornton, and she and I put on these events together. She and I have also got some more purple brands, which are to do with the Boost Biz podcast, where we interview people and particular businesses and put them up on the Boost Biz website. So Boost Biz website is boostbiz.podbean.com. So check out that, and if that seems applicable to you, then we can interview you and put that up. It's a very cheap method of promoting yourself, because once that's done, it goes up on that website, which also goes across to Audible, which also goes across to iTunes automatically, and you can even use the link from that to promote yourselves by putting that link up on LinkedIn and so on. So it's a really cheap and easy way of promoting yourself, talking about your business and what makes your business work. We've also started doing vidcasts as well, but they've only done 2 or 3 of those. That's still in the making. And the last brand that I'm going to talk really strongly about, which is Purple Bots or Purple Chatbots.
Oh, you mentioned that, yes.
Yes, I want everybody to see my Purple Bot. And Purple Bot is purple-bot.com. So do check that out. The whole idea is there are 2 things that people seem less and less keen to do. Filling in onerous messages and quizzes, and have you noticed that people are less and less interested in filling in long questionnaires? really quite a pain in the ass. What they'd rather do is someone led them through it. So a chatbot is a semi-automated AI that literally asks you questions in the same way as you might fill in on a questionnaire or some sort of questioning, and then but it leads them through with a characterful little robot in the corner and it talks us through it. But also it means they can appear 24/7, because if you put that on your website, those questions, and that's why I think maybe the future to help people getting through, finding out which is the best applicable brand that somebody might want to use out of your services. And that's pretty much all my purple brands. I'm going to turn that ticker off because it's excessively annoying.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the purple bot. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, we've all used a bot. We've all, obviously, Facebook Messenger's a big one. A message comes up and you say yes or no. But so your bot at the moment is for websites only, isn't it?
Yes, I will be providing it so they could use it on Facebook. And what the whole idea is, it comes across with the right code that you can insert it in HTML, or you can insert it within any one of the classic automated systems out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of it. I mean, we have Tim on board at the moment. We do promotional goods, so people say, what gifts are you looking for, and then presumably someone could say pens, and then they could take him to the pens page, couldn't they? Presumably,
absolutely. What I'm thinking of, perhaps. Yeah, I don't have one to hand that I could quickly put full screen. But what I was thinking, I'm also associated. This is going to sound like an aside, but it's not. I'm associated with something called the One Stop Business Collective, which is just a bunch of businesses. We're trying to do our own sort of passing business to each other kind of affair. And that one's got a lovely little bot on it. So if anybody wants to check out that, if they go to THE.stop.co.uk, and then one of the options, it has a lovely little link tree that comes up, and the top option is the chat bot. If you click on that, you can see one that actually does allow you to select between different people. I've pre-built 40 or 50 different chatbots covering all different kinds of businesses. But exactly as you say, Nick, you come in, it says, can I help you today? What is it you're looking for? And somebody might say, well, do you do promotional goods? I say, yes, we do all sorts of different things. What kind of promotional goods were you looking for? And they can then select from a list from different which ones, and then it can come up with examples and perhaps jump into videos or into features about them, and then say, would you like a callback? Or would you like someone to talk to you about it? Or would you like a link to a form where you can book, or you can say how many you want to purchase? Literally, it's almost like a decision tree. It's like a flow chart, if you like. And you can add in their little GIFs as well as you go, just to make it more amusing and upbeat. And the actual avatar for the chatbot can be anything you like. I've got one where it's actually my sweet face.
How frightening.
How frightening indeed. Small children and animals should be kept away.
Yeah. But I mean, the important thing to remember, obviously, all this is fascinating. We could all use it in different parts of business, but the first chat with you is always free, isn't it? Okay.
Absolutely.
If anyone's listening to this wondering that sounds, we've all interacted with a bot before. We've all done it. Okay. But if you want to know more about it, how they can use it in your business, the first thing to do is to reach out to Gareth. He's not a hard man to find. I mean, no one's hard to find anymore. I mean, crying out loud, there's about 1,000 ways you can find people. So have a chat with Gareth and find out more. I have looked on your website, and remind me, the bot website. What is the address for the bot website?
It's purple.
Yep.
Hyphen bot.
Yep.
.com.
That's not difficult. Purple-bot.com.
Now, let me give you the other ones. So the ones that everybody should check out, I would ask that they would check out, is trustus2call.uk.
And trustus2call.uk, yeah?
No, just .uk, not .uk.
Okay, all right, fine, yep.
Purple-fedora.com.
Yep.
and purple-bot.com.
Fine. I will put these links in the chat below. Okay.
You're very kind.
I'm too kind. I know, absolutely.
I don't know about that. But the most important thing I would say is I will help anyone make sure their profile is, let me see if I can get this right, superpowered. How about that?
I can't do anything. It was a voice thing, was it?
It was a voice thing. Sorry about that. No, all I'm saying is, if you spend half an hour with me, as a few, easy now, I'll do the jokes. If you chat to some of your Zuko members, I'm sure they'll tell you, because I've done this already with a few. That I'll spend half an hour with you, and I'll make sure that your profile is as stand out, interesting, and focused as I can. And not only that, but I'll give you other tips and tricks that you can do beyond that to make sure that you've always got things that you can be doing to improve the way people perceive you. Sorry.
Look at that. Oh, scene behind the magic then, Gareth. Tell me all about your music. So tell me about when did the music start, and what did you do?
Well, I was at school, and I formed a band in early 1980s to win a competition called the Rock School Competition.
So hang on. Before we talk about, you were in the school in the 1980s, so you're quite a bit younger than me.
Okay. No, it wasn't. It was at the end of school.
That's scary, isn't it? Anyway, yeah, you were saying.
And we had 11 people in the band, including a bassoonist, a violinist, and a viola player, and we won the competition. I had 15,000 people schools enter. And we won. And afterwards, I filmed a slimmed down version of that band, and we were offered a tour, and I kind of ran away from school and did that instead for about 4 and a bit years.
Wow.
Until the band fell apart. And when I came back home, I was, well, what do I do now? So I had a whole lot of French francs, if anybody remembers them,
I do,
in a suitcase. And I wanted to do something next. And I met a guy in a pub who said, I can work for the AA and get paid lots of money for being a communications specialist. And I said, what's that? And he said, I don't know, but they're paying me. And so I joined, and many years later, I'd taken all the exams and everything in between to actually become qualified. But right at the beginning, I kind of blinded my way in. But all the while, I was performing as a percussionist. So back then I was playing rock kit and so on. But as the years went on, I moved away from playing kit work and mostly did hand drums. So these days I tend to play an electronic hand drum simulator called a Roland Hand Sonic. And oh blimey. And I my band is called Encrypted Love.
Wow.
And we were supposed to be headlining at at one of the festivals, which has just got cancelled. So, which is a shame. But we are trying to boost ourselves up as well.
But until recently, you busk on Richmond Riverside, I gather.
And interestingly, if the weather is good, this Sunday I will be doing exactly the same again. Because there is a open mic that I love attending in Teddington. Obviously, I live nowhere near there now, so I'm going to drive down there in the early morning, park up, and then go and take my gear down to the river's edge.
It is Sunday.
On Sunday, yes.
Okay, well, I'll be around on Sunday. Sunday morning, I'm around. So, I mean, what sort of time on Sunday, roughly?
Not entirely sure. I'm going to aim to be. Well, it takes me 2 hours to get from here. So if I leave here at about 8:30, I should be there by 10. So I'll be probably set up by 11:30 by the river's edge near Steins.
I know. Well, I'm actually at rugby on Saturday, but I mean that's another story.
Sunday.
Sunday. Yeah, it's Independence Day, England versus USA at Twickenham.
Right. And I'm sure that will be most enjoyable.
Exactly. So I mean, so how many years have you been busking on Richmond Riverside, or how
Not very
long?
long. Not very long. I started it just before lockdown
Mhm,
happened at the beginning.
mhm,
Then when they eased, obviously that became untenable. The great thing about busking on Richmond, near Richmond, is that there's a bylaw that goes back to Henry VIII. Apparently, the fable goes that one of Henry VIII's wives was so keen on live music, and they spent a lot of time in Richmond, that they ordained that busking or minstrels should be able to play without license
mhm.
anywhere within the boundaries of Richmond, which makes it the only borough in London where you can literally set up and busk, as long as you're not annoying people,
Yeah.
without license.
Mhm,
So that means that it's quite easy if you can find a spot
mhm.
along the Thames to set up. So I started that just before, and once things loosened off again, I started again because there's lots of room for people to pass around you without necessarily having to be
Yeah. Well, let me
in your
let me
face.
let me tell you, my friend, there wasn't any room this morning. It was underwater
It's always underwater.
because I ran down this morning completely underwater where you were. So, are you a singer as well? Or just percussion?
No, what I do is I actually have focused on one particular style of music, which is called electro swing. If you can imagine swing music
Mhm.
with a modern backbeat, so like 1930s Charleston style music.
Mhm.
Think postmodern jukebox. If anybody wants to search for that on it, a good band might to listen to get a feel for it is Parov Stila, or perhaps a Caravan Palace is a good example. But it's that sort of swing beat, very upbeat. There are no breakup songs in electro swing. It's very bouncy and upbeat. And I joined forces with a group of performers and also a record label based in Berlin called Electro Swing Thing. And we joined forces just before lockdown, actually. And I'm now fully licensed to perform over any of their remixes. So that means that gives me a not quite unlimited, but a large
Mhm.
pantheon of works to perform over. And so what I do is I set myself up with my battery powered amp and my all my gear, and I use my phone or some other similar device as a sound source with a playlist of all the tracks that they've released recently. They usually take out bits and pieces, so there's more room for me to play over the top. And I play anything from full kit sounds to bongos, congos, timbale, glockenspiel, vibraphone, xylophone, the lot of it over the top, just to make the sound even more bouncy. And I
Look,
tend to get
yeah.
people paying me good money to do so.
I cannot wait to hear you play. I tell you, absolutely.
It's great fun.
Tell us something about you that might we don't know or might. I can't imagine there's anything about you that surprises us, but anything about you that might surprise us.
Oh, I'm trying to think. There was a lot. All right. Well, I am a 24/7 steampunk, so I'm always in some form of steampunk gear. So I tend to wear spats quite a lot, and often wear a morning suit. Most always never seen without a bow tie or cravat. Perhaps another one. I have an eidetic visual memory, so I have a photographic memory for visual things, so I can remember every frame of every film I've ever seen, which
Okay.
makes me a right pain in the ass to go to the cinema with if we're watching something which is an old film. I like watching films I've seen before because eventually they dim a little bit, and I like to watch them again. But then I
Well,
go,
come
oh,
on.
in the next bit this happens, and then my wife slaps me.
Favorite film, favorite types of. Come on, can you give me two or three of your favorite films?
Oh, well, the obvious ones, which is, of course, Blade Runner, the original one, not the director's cut, funny enough, the original one. Particularly enjoy that from the cinematic point of view as well as the storyline. The where Rutger Hauer is standing on the roof holding onto a dove with his arms crossed is a particularly poignant memory if anybody ever remembers that. All the way through to one of my favorite films, which is a Spanish film, which is called L'Orphanage, which is a kind of not a horror film. It's but it's beautiful and haunting and amazing. There's Île des Enfants Perdus, which is a French film, which is an amazing film, all the way through to, of course, I'm trying to think, some of the early Tarantino works. I do love Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. I think that's great to do as well. All sorts of things.
Well, fascinating. Well, let's invite the participant back into the room here. Okay, so Teresa. Oh, Tim, where did Tim go? He's very dark all of a sudden.
Oh,
So,
no, Tim's there.
Is he? I can't see Tim. He's just a black screen for me.
Oh no, I think he's frozen.
He's frozen. All right. So Teresa. So any questions before we wrap up?
Well, yes. So Gareth, can you live stream one of your performances so that we can see it?
Well, I tell you what, Teresa, some of the stuff I've done over lockdown will give you an idea of some of the stuff I've done. If you look for Rockin' the Lock-In, so that's without G's, I was helping compare and also perform at this is on Facebook. You'll find there's a whole ton of stuff there because we did 7 different groups of anything up to 25 different performers, and you'll find that I'm known as DJ Bongo. That's my thing.
Okay.
The other thing, if you look up Purple Lounge or the Purple Lounge, you should again find some more.
And is that where are we looking at that, on YouTube or Facebook?
On YouTube and Facebook. In fact, they're both bits of both.
I will put a link under the chat in the group. Okay, I'm going to call this meeting to an end. Okay, gentlemen. It's
been an absolute delight. Thank you for taking the time.
Well, thank you,
Teresa, and I actually I did a half an hour session with Teresa. That went quite well, didn't it, Teresa?
Well, yes, and I did. Yes, and I have to work on what you told me. I've been changing. Well, my life. I'm like learning to be a nomad, and so I'm a little bit behind on like everything. But it was a very valuable session, and I still have you in mind for future work together.
Good. Well, thank you. I mean, I've really enjoyed it. I knew this chat would just flow. I had nothing written down at all. I knew you and I, Gareth, would definitely not struggle to find things to talk about. Okay. Yes. Thank you for joining us, Teresa. Thank you for joining us, Gareth. I'm going to sign out. No problem at all. Good. Thank you. Okay.